Hello and welcome, dear listeners, to episode 105 of The Reformed Gamers, the show all about theology, video games, getting on YouTube, and anything else that we can think of. I can't think of a clever name that ties into YouTube stuff host, Logan.
And I am your soon-to-be daddy host, Adam.
Oh, snap.
Does that sound weird to say I'm a soon-to-be daddy? I don't.
I mean, it's
a daddy.
It's a little weird, but it's also kind of rad.
Yeah,
a little bit of both, but more so cool.
Yeah, like I was telling you before the show, by the time this releases, there's a very good chance that me and my wife, our adoption is happening. We've already been to the hospital. So we almost had the baby today. The mom's going to be doing a C-section, and we were at the hospital just doing some different tests, and we were just waiting for the doctor to be like, let's just do this today. So didn't end up happening, which is kind of a good thing. But we're ready, man. It's almost go time any day now.
That's crazy, dude. To think, I mean, the moment that we've been waiting for I don't know how many episodes it's been now. It's like here, dude.
Seriously, that's kind of, I mean, I'm excited to be a dad, but I'm so excited just to be done with this process, in this part of my life. The adoption will always be a big part of it, and the birth mom also. But knowing that we're done waiting is going to be such a huge relief. Knowing that it's not changing, she's not backing out, the baby is ours, this is a Sutherland,
yeah, man.
All those things, that in and of itself will be such a release from our lives and stress. I don't even know what that feels like. I mean, we've been in the process for almost 2 years from the start of paperwork. I mean, we've only been waiting for about a year and 3 months. But yeah, we're extremely thankful for the way God has worked in our lives throughout the last year and a half. But I am very ready to just become a father and be done with this season of life for a while.
Yeah, man.
So
I don't blame you. I mean, you've shared on the podcast your fair share of, ups and downs with this whole process. So, I mean, I definitely don't blame y'all for wanting this to be over,
Yeah, it'll be fun I'm looking forward to just making that announcement in the Facebook group and on, letting all of our friends and family know, it's going to be a really joyful time. And thankfully, we've got this great relationship with our birth mom where yes, it'll be moments of difficulty for her, but she's excited for us and with us and very thankful for that relationship. We were at the hospital with her today and we're just able to laugh with her. We're able to just enjoy that time. And her and Hannah have a really great relationship. So very, very thankful for that relationship, because if it wasn't a good one, it would only be more difficult. But because God has blessed us, there's no doubt that we were supposed to be mad at this mom. Sometimes we would wonder, are we doing an option? There's so many people that are adoptions, should we have done foster care or older child adoption? But there is zero doubt in my mind this was God's purpose plan for us to have this 20 minutes from us, that we can pick her up and get to the hospital or help her get things that she needs for her house or appointments. It's been a really just ordained thing. So extremely thankful for that. But yeah, I'm ready to bring this baby into the world and see what God's going to do through it.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be totally rad. You're gonna have a little dear listener on your hands.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be. We'll have him on the podcast. I'm sure he'll cry and make his presence known every once in a while. But that'll be just another fun part of this process.
Well, we'll just ask him, hey, what do you think about loot boxes? And then he'll start crying, and it's all right, we're good. You heard it here first, folks. Official TRG. Official TRG review.
Yeah. Youngest video game, critic out there.
There we go. There we go. Well, man, this is a pretty big episode for announcements. And I mean, you're on the cusp of fatherhood. We're finally on YouTube.
Let's go.
Some of you dear listeners are probably even listening to this episode on YouTube. Finally gonna try. Well, I mean, we're gonna try and do something with the Twitch channel for the umpteenth time. But yeah, man. So dear listeners, we have a YouTube channel. Links to everything will be in the show notes, including the Twitch channel that we will be streaming from time to time. But I think pretty much what we'll be spending most of our time on is the YouTube channel itself. I figured it out to where if I stream at least 2 hours a month, I can, if people miss the stream, I can then take that stream, clip it up into 4 segments, upload each segment every week. There's always something going up on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We'll just kind of see how that goes. So hopefully it'll go well. Hopefully you, the dear listeners, will support it and give us some good feedback. I've already gotten some pretty good ideas from some of you dear listeners in terms of content and some of the things we could do with the channel and things like that. So keep it coming. Let us know on Twitter at TRG Podcast or in the Facebook group. But like I said, links to everything will be in the show notes and all that jazz. So this
exciting stuff.
It is, man. I'm a little nervous just because the only time I've ever really done anything with like video production per se was like in high school when it was college when I first got my MacBook and I found iMovie and I was trying to be like, I mean, this is like a deep cut, like a real throwback for folks, but when I was trying to be like, what was his name? It's not Julian Smith. I can't remember his name now.
I don't know who you're referencing.
I don't know either. I don't think I even know Adam. I don't think I even know. It's just been one of those days. But yeah, so I mean, this will be new for me. So dear listeners, just bear with us because it'll be interesting learning the ins and outs of YouTube, learning the ins and outs of video editing and things like that. So I can't guarantee the quality is always going to be great. But I mean, one thing we definitely have proven over time, at least with this show, is that we are dedicated to getting better and taking feedback and improving and going from there. So, just be nice. Because if you come at me like a jerk, I'm not going to listen. I just won't.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you just come in and be like, hey, I was watching your video, notice a few things you could do, I'm more inclined to listen. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's episode 105, man. We're done. Let's go. No, I'm kidding.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Short episode this week. No. But yeah, I mean, and then just kind of going over that just a little bit more in terms of episode 105, because I put it out on Twitter and Facebook. Just schedule conflicts. It's that time of the year, man, where it's busy,
Mm-hmm.
And so
we got holidays and family stuff.
Holidays, families.
Before you know it, I mean, we got this one and probably here soon we got to start thinking game of the year.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah, I mean, we've got maybe one more, if not the next one, has to be probably Game of the Year talk.
Yeah, which means, dude, you got to hurry up and finish Persona 5.
I know. That's why I started it.
My boy. Let's go ahead and get into that, man. Dear listeners, hello and welcome to the Reformed Gamers. We like to start off the show like we always do with a little bit of what we've been playing and what we've been reading. And Adam, you handsome almost dad, what have you been playing?
Yeah, kind of going to that, and I'll get to why I started this back up, but I started Persona 5 back up again. I took probably, a 2 or 3 month break.
Yeah, it was a while.
I'm 60 hours in. I think I'm on the 6th palace. I can't pronounce the names. Nijima?
Which character?
The chick detective. So I'm in her palace.
Oh, is that Sai?
Maybe.
It's been so long since I played it.
Yeah. So I'm there. I think I've got this one more, and then the final little stretch or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
So I think I've got maybe 30 hours or so left. But my plan is I'm hoping to finish it in the next month. Again, life's about to get crazy, so who knows what I will be doing in regards to gaming. But that's my goal. My goal is not to start any other new games. Like, I'd like to finish this before I start up Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Yeah, I hear that.
So finish one JRPG to start up another one. But my goal, again, is to hopefully beat that. I won't beat it by the time it comes out. I just probably won't start Xenoblade because that's December 1st.
Right.
But I also finished the 3rd chapter of Dragon Quest Builders. If you haven't played that game, I think it's basically built into 4 chapters. I'm almost treating them like they're episodes because they're probably each 15 hours long, if not a little bit longer. Like I put a lot of time into the 3rd chapter, and you could put more if you wanted to, building and doing some side quests. I didn't do probably half the side quests within the different stories. So I finished the 3rd one. Still just a really good game, but I'm going to set it back down. So I have like my Vita game. That was my Vita game. Persona 5 will be my Vita game that I'm dabbling with, just because I play it off of my Vita on remote play. My PS4 game, I'm pretty far along in Middle-earth: Shadow of War. That game is a game where it's got that addiction to where there's always something else I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be doing all these things. Like I was playing it yesterday, and my wife's like, I thought you were going to do these things. You said you were going to be done in like 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, but I need to do this thing on the map. As you know, I'm trying to go unlock this other thing, but I came across this. I need to do it real quick, and then I need to do this, and it just constantly builds. I mean, there's constantly a captain or a war chief you need to hunt down and kill. There's constantly a collectible. There's constantly a mission. There's a lot going on in the game, and I'm really enjoying it. But it's got, I mean, before you know it, I'll be playing it for, I'm thinking, I'll play it for an hour. Before I know it, I'm 2 hours, 2.5 hours in. Mm-hmm. It's got that kind of addiction part to it where, you just want to take over the whole region. Okay. Do the nature battle coming up. So I'm really enjoying that game. I think I have a left. I'm not like, I think there's 4 or 5 like regions. I think I'm 2 regions in, so I've got over halfway still to go. But even within those regions, you don't have to do everything. Mm-hmm. I could probably just go and try to take over the war chief, but it would just be near impossible. You kind of got to build up certain things. So really enjoy that game. That'll probably be my last outside of Persona 5. I don't see myself really starting up another PlayStation 4 game by the end of the year. I've got a couple games I'm looking at on Black Friday if I can get them for a good deal, but with baby coming into the world, I just don't see myself really needing to start up another one. And then lastly, finished Mario Odyssey.
Nice.
So I finished the story, so I'm sure you'll want to discuss that also. I mean, it's just a great game. It really is. So it's another one of those games, kind of like I was just talking with Shadow of War. There's always something else you want to do.
Exactly.
It's hard. Once you get started, it's hard to set it down. Now, I'll be honest, it's not a game. I'm slow rolling it. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say I'm addicted to it. It's a game where, all right, when I pick it up, I play 30, 40, maybe an hour. I'll keep having those addiction moments where, all right, there's another star. I want to go get this. But it's not a game where I feel like I just want to constantly play it.
Right.
It's got a good balance to me. So not that we're doing Game of the Year stuff, but personally, I think Zelda Breath of the Wild is probably I probably prefer it currently better than Mario Odyssey, but I'm only like 280 moons in. So there's still a ton of game left. I thought the story and the final boss battle, a ton of just cool nostalgia moments.
Definitely.
Going to the castle and some of those things. Just I don't want to do spoilers, but
sure,
just a really, it's a really fun game. I'm sure there's a lot of spoilers and things that I haven't even got to yet within the game, but definitely one of the best games of the year. I'm sure, I'm not tired of it yet. It's just not a game where I'm going to be, I'll play it when I pick it up. It's not, when I get those moments, I'm going to enjoy it. But it never really like hooked me in an addiction way. I think Zelda had its hooks in me a little bit more, but I have yet to be disappointed in Mario Odyssey. Nothing about, the taking, or they don't call it possessing of characters, but
capturing. Yeah.
The capturing of other like characters in the game, that's been a lot of fun, and just the different aspects that's brought to it. The game just looks really clean and crisp. Just a different way that you can even approach areas is really fun, because you can always capture a certain creature, or sometimes you can just use your cap and jump and platform to get to certain moons. So, and then once, I don't know if this may or may not be spoilers. So if you're a little worried, don't, pause me for a few seconds. So I'm going to let you pause it. Go ahead and pause. All right. But when you can start getting the Mario 64 stuff, oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
I love when you can get the Mario 64 outfit, you start collecting stars instead of moons, and you get that little after you get the stars, kind of like a Mario 64. I melted. I was like, wow, this is so good. I was trying to do some of the different things around the castle, like looking up in the ceiling to see if it would warp you like in the original, and none of that. But that whole area was just super special to me because that's one of my favorite games of all time, if not my favorite. So
yeah, and it's really, also just it's just a really cool surprise, like out of left field kind of thing.
Yep,
so good, man. So good.
But that's I'll leave it at that. So playing a lot of different things when I can. Again, by the next time we talk, I may say, guys, I've played nothing. But
I've played Change the Diaper Simulator,
Well, I got a feeling. I think when it's real little, that baby's just going to be sleeping a lot.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm going to be holding it and playing my Vita or my Switch.
Yeah.
So, but I was at the hospital for like 5 hours a day, and I'm like, I brought my book, but I'm like, I should have brought my Switch. Dang it, Adam. What are you doing trying to be a good adult and read?
It's like, what you doing? Who reads anymore, Adam?
Yeah.
The only thing you should be
anyways, that's me. What have you been into, Logan?
Yeah, like you said, Super Mario Odyssey. I finished the main story, just been kind of playing the side quests, and I'm approaching the game the same way you are, where I'll play it for 30 minutes to an hour at a time. I'm not trying to what's the word? I guess binge play it, I guess. But it's interesting how let's just be honest, dear listeners, for the most of us that have played through the story mode, it's pretty easy. But once you get to the post-content stuff, it's a whole different game. Especially some of the challenges you have to do to get the different moons and things like that. It really tests you. And one of the things that I thought was cool about it is I learned one of the new techniques where you throw the cap, you hold it out there, and you kind of like dive at it and bounce off of it to kind of clear some spaces.
Yeah.
And man, once you get used to how that works and you start using it efficiently, I'm not gonna lie, you feel pretty cool. This game makes you feel pretty rad. And man, see, this is where when you compare this game with Legend of Zelda, they are two totally different games, but they're both so incredible. Think about this. The fact that we got a Legend of Zelda game and a Mario game in the same year on the Nintendo Switch is insane. And the fact that they're as good as they are, I'm just saying, it's giving PlayStation and Xbox a run for their money, because these games are top tier, grade A quality. And Mario, even though I don't play it for hours on end like I used to with Legend of Zelda was a game I could play for hours at a time, just exploring and doing all that. But Mario, man, every time I play that game, I am just grinning from ear to ear. It's just...
Yeah, I think one thing with it is exploration means something a little bit different in each game. They both have this sense of adventure and explore. Like, I wonder what's over that mountain in Zelda.
Yes.
In Mario, you're like, I wonder what is on the other side of this wall. I wonder what's in this other world. I wonder if I go and capture this creature. Like, they both have just a ton of exploration, but they look pretty different.
Right.
And in Zelda, you're looking for shrines and Korok seeds. In Odyssey, you're looking for all of these moons. You're looking for pictures that can warp you into other worlds, or pipes, or all these. So it's cool how they have some really big similarities, but they approach them in very different ways.
Exactly. And I think the cool thing about that is that it makes it more appealing to certain types of gamers. You know, if you're the kind of person that wants to explore and have a little bit of a challenge in your exploration, that's Zelda. But I mean, if you just want to have fun with the game and have a little bit of challenge, you know, Mario's there. But like I said, definitely some of the challenges you get to in the post game are just, they're not impossible, but man, they're challenging, but they're a lot of fun.
And I even think, okay, what kind of challenge do you want? Because for some of us, if you're a completionist, you know, Mario Odyssey is going to be a very challenging game because you're going to be like, where the heck are these last 3 or 4 moons on each planet?
Yeah.
You know, but in Zelda, difficulty means something differently. You know, it could be fighting a hard what were they, like the Lionels? Yeah. Lionels, or approaching one of the machines or whatever. So, but also in Odyssey, it's very accessible. Like if you just want to have fun and whenever you see a moon, you go get it. It's casual. It's exploration. Yeah, if you're approaching it from that way, yeah, sure, the game's easy. But if you're thinking, I want to do this without looking at any walkthrough, that game's not going to be easy in that aspect.
Right.
Because you're going to have to think outside the box of where haven't I explored? Where could this last moon or this moon be? Like, if you think about it that way, the game's not going to be easy because you're going to have to work really hard to find all of them without looking up hints or locations on the internet.
Yeah. But, and it's just, it's weird, man. It's so weird because, dear listeners, longtime dear listeners know, for you new ones, I'll let you know a secret. I wasn't so much a Nintendo guy on the show, you know, but ever since I got a Switch, Nintendo has been slowly winning me over. And with Mario, I'm just like, yep, this feels weird. I love Nintendo again. I like these games. It's a weird feeling, but it's just so good.
They did a good job.
Yeah, they did. They did a fantastic job. I can, you know, a lot of people are like, yeah, Mario doesn't deserve a 10. No, zip it. It does deserve a 10.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such a fantastic game. And so then, words are hard. Some of the other things I've been playing, I did jump into Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy. The only thing I'm going to say about that is just watch the movies. It is not worth playing at all. Unless you really want that platinum trophy at the end. It's just not worth playing. It's just
what's some of the biggest issues? Is it try to be funny and it's not funny?
Yeah.
Choices don't matter really at all.
I think at the core of what it, I mean, in Telltale games, choices for the most part don't ever really matter.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to tell one linear story. But I think the problem that Telltale had with this particular series or this particular group of characters is they just didn't know how to use them. They didn't know how to write for them. You know, they had an interesting core concept, but they didn't really know how to flesh that out or keep the story going because the pacing's off, the dialogue is hit and miss, more so miss than anything else. Some of the jokes are funny, but most are not. It just, and even the action scenes are just, they feel stinted, kind of just not, they don't flow well together. Whereas you play something like Batman and it's just firing on all cylinders the entire time you're playing. But this one, there's so many times where I was bored. Whereas you contrast it with, you know, the good ones that Telltale is known for, like Walking Dead, Batman, Wolf Among Us. Never bored in any of those. But
yeah, if you're bored in a Telltale game, you're in trouble if the story's not good because you don't have gameplay to back it up.
Yeah.
You know, some games the story may be boring, but you've got gameplay that keeps you involved. If you're not invested or care at all about the story in a Telltale game, you might as well quit playing.
Pretty much.
Because the gameplay is not going to be what keeps you there.
Nope. No, it's not. So, but I mean, we'll get to Telltale a little bit later in our news section. But yeah, it ain't worth it, dear listeners. I mean, unless you really want to play it, just wait for it to go on sale or something, which is what I wish I would have done. But also, last game I've been kind of chipping away at, which I've been chipping. Ooh, did you say something?
Nope.
Oh, okay. I'm hearing things. Last game I've been playing, which I've been chipping away at this game for the past several months now, Hyper Light Drifter. It's a game that dear listener supreme Josh Broccolo, host of the So Talk to Me podcast, mentioned several episodes ago on that episode we did about music. Yeah, he brought it up, and I've been playing it ever since, and it's a hard game. It will definitely put you through your paces, but I'm finally at a point with the game now where I believe I'm at the end. We just got one more boss to go, and then I'll be done. But it's been a brutal ride, man. Like, it reminds me so much of playing Bloodborne that I'm excited, but I also kind of hate the game at this point. Like, I have a love-hate relationship with the game. I just finished one boss where it's, for those that have played it, it's this swordsman who moves really fast. And if you don't know how to use the dash mechanic efficiently enough, you're just going to get worked every single time. And I like the game in the aspect that it's hard. It's so hard that when you actually beat a boss, you're like, yes, you feel incredibly satisfied, but at the same time, going through the fight to get to the end is not fun half the time. And great game. I will say it's a great game. It's definitely challenging. You just have to know what you're getting into. And I think the dash mechanic honestly needed some kind of workover, some kind of design change to where it's not quite as finicky as it is. But hopefully I'll finish that up. So that way I can get into the Frozen Wilds DLC for Horizon and also get that up on the YouTube channel. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I've been playing. I haven't really put a whole lot of time into anything else. But Adam, surely you've made some time to read, I hope. I mean, you said you brought your book to the hospital with you. So what have you been reading?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this maybe last time on the podcast, but for my job, they've got us finishing the last book of kind of the John Owen trilogy of sorts. You've got Of Temptation, The Mortification of Sin, and now we're reading Indwelling Sin. So it is a hard read. I mean, one page takes like way more time than it should because I'm trying to comprehend everything. But it's been really good. I'm just gonna share one quote. I don't know if I think it's almost like 180 pages for this book within it's kind of got all three books in one. It's kind of abridged of sorts, updated version. But he says, the more men exercise their grace and duties of obedience, the more it is strengthened and increased. And the more men exert and put forth the fruits of their lust, the more it is enraged and is increased in them. It feeds upon itself, swallows up its own poison, and grows thereby. And so as I work with a lot of students who struggle with, purity and pornography issues, or, I mean, really, if you think about this in regards to any type of thing that you can lust, because you can lust more than just women and sexual things. You can lust power, you can lust acceptance, you can lust a lot of things, but just focusing on the idea of, sin increases sin and obedience increases obedience. And so often we want to just be obedient. We want to be obedient for sure, but sometimes we'll settle for sin because my heart's not in the right area. And we'll be like, well, my heart's not in it, so I'm not going to be obedient. Instead of just being obedient and seeing what the Lord does with that. Sometimes I was talking with a student this week, and he was saying, I've had a week or two of just really good victory in this area of purity. And he's like, it may not last forever, but I'm really, it's been encouraging. Like, don't give Satan the foothold. Who's to say that you can't continue? Yes, we know that we're in this flesh, and the likelihood of us living perfectly is slim to none, if not none completely. But let's not give sin a foothold and saying, I'm not going to be perfect, and this good stretch will eventually come to an end. Like, let's just let this obedience spur obedience and see what the Lord can do with it, be thankful for that. Because if we know anything, we know that disobedience spurs disobedience. When I'm in a cycle of sin, it's hard to get outside of that cycle of sin because like I said, it swallows it up, it feeds upon itself, it grows. But at the same way, when we're being obedient, of course, by God's grace, man, there's an encouragement in that. There's an assurance in that. There's just a repetition that where it's like, man, I want to be more obedient because this has felt so great, and it can spur more of that obedience. So there's a lot of good quotes. There's a lot of things in this book that I'm like, I have no idea what that means. But, it'll be, Lord willing, I'll be, chipping away at it over the next few weeks, whether waiting in the hospital room or waiting room or sitting here around the house. But definitely some good stuff if you've never read John Owen.
Yeah, man. I have some of his stuff I still need to read, so maybe I'll do that over Christmas break. I've just got so much to read, man.
Always.
There's just always so much time to read. As for me, I've been, like I said a couple episodes ago, taking my students through 1 John 3, or not 1 John 3, taking my students through the book of 1 John, and recently we've been in chapter 3. And going through 1 John has been amazing, but it's also been, it's kind of like going into the boxing ring, and getting hit a couple times. And it's been good for my students. It's definitely challenging them a lot, which has been fantastic to see. And it's been great to just see, God do some amazing things in their lives. And I came across this verse during sermon prep in 1 John 3, chapter 6 specifically. John's talking about, the difference between the person who makes a practice of sin and makes a practice of righteousness. And he says in verse 6, no one who abides in him, who abides in Jesus, keeps on sinning. No one who keeps on sinning has either seen him or known him. And I remember reading that and just kind of having to sit back a little bit and go, whoa, am I making a habit of some sins? Am I keeping some things around I shouldn't be keeping around? I mean, I don't know, dear listeners, I don't know if anyone's ever told you, but even youth pastors in general are susceptible to sin. We're not all, immune to that. But just reading that has been, it's been a pretty hard gut check. It's very sobering because it makes you think about, if you say that you have seen Jesus or you've met Jesus or you follow Jesus, yet you're making a habit of sin, the question then becomes, did you really meet Jesus? Because if you look at Paul's example, he met Jesus and was blind for a week. I mean, if you really meet Jesus, your life should look drastically different. There's that irresistible grace coming into play there. But I remember bringing that up to my students, and I'm like, look, guys, if you just said a prayer one time and you don't see evidence of God working in your life or you changing and you don't see the fruit of the Spirit, I got to ask, did you really meet Jesus or did you just have an emotional moment with your heart? And some of them were just like, crap. And it's like, and that's the thing. And that's what's been great about going through 1 John is seeing these students read verses like this and really ask themselves, what evidence can I see in my life of God working? Where can I see the Holy Spirit changing me and transforming me? Am I still holding on to certain sins even though I really shouldn't? Seeing them ask themselves, just because I put Jesus as number one on my Snapchat or Instagram, but I keep living like this, I mean, there's some discrepancy there. And what does that mean? How can I fix that? What does that look like in terms of changing? And so it's been good, man. It's been an absolute joy and blessing getting to share that with students, but also to just be challenged myself, I mean, here I am. God's called me to preach the word to these students, to teach these students the word. And I got to remember to keep myself above reproach, even to not make a habit of sins, whatever that may be. To just, like John Owen says, be killing sin or it will be killing you.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's been, dude, 1 John's an awesome book. Really, really good. Really, really convicting. But yeah.
First John Owen.
John
Illuminati confirmed.
There it is. There it is. The dad jokes have started. No, I'm kidding.
First John Owen. Boom.
Oh, snap. There we go. All right. Before we get into some other kind of territory. Adam, good sir. Let's talk about some newsy news, man. I'm losing it, man. What's going on in the news?
Yeah, a couple articles just to discuss from a Christian worldview, of course. We mentioned Telltale earlier. In the last, this comes out of IGN on November 7th, so by the time this gets released, it's a couple weeks back. But Telltale Games lays off 25% of staff as part of company restructures. So it says the reduction affects 90 staffers across all of Telltale divisions.
Golly.
But according to a press release, are not going to affect the games that have already been announced, which includes another season of Walking Dead, a new season of The Wolf Among Us. Sorry,
I can't wait for that Walking Us game. Should be great.
It's a game where you walk with people and choose what topics to discuss. It's going to be riveting.
Fantastic. It's going to have a Christian edition where you just bring up the Bible out of nowhere.
Yeah, gospel.
There you go.
Where you look for opportunities to turn the conversation to the gospel.
Hey, I would actually play that. That might be that might be interesting.
Yeah. So it says, let me see just what's relevant. It says the decision is designed to make the company a leader in player-driven narrative games, more competitive as a developer and publisher of groundbreaking story-driven gaming experience with the emphasis on high quality in the years ahead, a statement from the company reads. So Logan, as a man who plays way more Telltale games than I do because you like easy platinums, what do you think about this?
I mean, you're not wrong. I do like easy platinums. I always hate to hear when designers, developers get laid off like that. What I do think was really cool was I was on Twitter after that announcement went live, and a lot of studios were tagging Telltale and saying like, hey, always hate to hear about this kind of stuff, but if anyone needs a job, let us know because we have some positions that we need to fill. So that was cool to see. My overall thoughts on it is just, apart from just hating hearing about it, I think this is just kind of the result of Telltale stretching themselves too thin. The problem with Telltale is they almost kind of rose or grew faster than what I think they were ready for. And so they got all these different IPs, and you saw the quality kind of dip on some of the games. You saw it with Guardians of the Galaxy being the most recent one. You saw it with even Minecraft to a certain degree, some episodes of Batman. And I'm not saying that anyone should have lost their jobs over that, but I think, or at least what my hope is that through this, Telltale learns to focus on just a couple of IPs and do really, really well on those instead of trying to do a game for everything. Yeah, it's cool that you can work with Guardians of the Galaxy, but if you can't handle the IP properly and you can't design or you can't write the characters well enough, don't even bother with it. Stick to what you're good at. You guys Telltale's fantastic at Batman, Wolf Among Us, Walking Dead. Those are the three that they're known for. And those are the three that they ought to stick with a little bit. Honestly, I think they did a good job with Tales of the Borderlands. I'm surprised they haven't made a second season of that yet. So I hate that they laid people off, but I just hope that through this, they kind of learned, okay, we need to just not try to do everything. We need to focus on a couple things, get good at those, and not take on projects that we just won't excel at, So, yeah. But I also hope the laid off developers find jobs, and I'm sure they will. There is talent over there for sure that will get picked up, but that's kind of where I'm at on Telltale.
Yeah, I kind of feel like sometimes as gamers, and I don't want to seem, graceless, and I don't think that's even the right word, but sometimes we want to forget the business side of the games industry. We sometimes, and again, I think it's because we care about people and we don't want to see anyone getting laid off, but it can be a harsh business. I mean, you look at other companies when some poor decisions can lead to some tough choices. I am very grateful, like you, where those other companies are saying, hey, we've got opportunities. Come find us. There's a lot of companies that are, thriving and doing really good. Hopefully they all land on their feet, but choices have consequences, and some of their choices, unfortunately, have some consequences. But you hope that this will right the ship, and so they can start growing back again, and who knows, maybe even in the future be able to bring some of those people back if things get going healthy again. But it's just unfortunately it's a part of the tough, not just business industry, but just business in general. But I don't mean to come across callous.
No, man, it's just it's the reality of things. I mean, dear listeners, like I record for several episodes. I mean, if you want to see an inside look at that, pick up Jason Schreier's Blood, Sweat, and Pixels book, because I mean, it'll talk about what you're talking about, Adam, the business side of things. It ain't always pretty.
Yep, and talking business.
Oh, here we go.
Everyone's favorite game developer, EA, buys Titanfall and its developer Respawn. Something that means so much to Logan. Titanfall is bought by EA. So it says, although Respawn Entertainment, the developer responsible for the Titanfall series, has worked primarily with Electronic Arts since its inception, it wasn't actually owned by EA. But that changed as EA has announced its plan to buy not only Titanfall, the IP, but the publisher Respawn also. So, Logan, what does this mean for Titanfall? Titanfall 3. Here come the loot boxes.
Stop. I mean, we joke about that, but y'all know that's what's going to happen. Calling down your Titan, it's going to call down a loot box, and then your Titan is going to be the loot box. You're going to be fighting with loot boxes. Those are your Titans. Why Respawn? Like, I mean,
the interesting thing is, this is on the right on the heels of EA shutting down Visceral Games.
Yep.
So it's like you shut down one studio and then go buy another one. I get Titanfall and Respawn has done some good things. I mean, their last game had to do pretty well. It was pretty well critically acclaimed. A lot of people liked it. Now it came at a tough spot, so that might have hurt its sales. But overall, had a lot of just positive things around it. So who's to say they shouldn't jump at an opportunity? But it just kind of has a sour taste at the timing.
And the thing is, I mean, when I heard this news, I looked at it and was like, so let me get this straight. You're going to accept an offer from the publisher who, for your first game, went behind y'all's back and signed an exclusivity deal with Xbox. And then when you guys stuck with them for the second game, they released your game in between Battlefield and Call of Duty, thus really hindering your sales. And then this is the same publisher that has a track record of buying game developers and forcing their Frostbite engine onto everybody, and just, I don't know what else they've done behind the scenes, but essentially just absorbing these companies into and just sucking the life out of them. I mean, look at Mass Effect Andromeda. Don't tell me EA didn't have their hands in that. And then they closed down Visceral Studios. I mean, EA has a horrible track record of taking beloved franchises and just wrecking them. Just shoving in these in-app purchases, shoving in these microtransactions, these loot box-filled garbage. Why would you want to be bought out by them? Because here's the thing that I'm worried the most about. Which, by the way, the fact that they shut down Visceral Studios and then bought Respawn with a Star Wars game in the deal, that's a slap to the face of the folks at Visceral. And EA has got to be the most immoral company I've ever seen. And I get that they're not a Christian run company. I get that. But it seems at this point they have no semblance of morality or sound ethics whatsoever. Because the thing that I'm worried the most about, because they bought the Titanfall IP and they also bought Respawn. Who's to say that they won't shut down Respawn in a year or two and then just hand Titanfall over to someone else?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? EA is...
It's like, EA, I remember when you were mainly just a sports company.
Yeah, and they weren't that bad then.
Like,
but now they're like...
it's like, man, everyone liked you when you just made sports games. Now a lot of people don't like you anymore. And your sports games, I mean, Madden is still great in FIFA, but NBA Live is not around anymore. NHL does all right. It's kind of a sour taste.
I ain't happy, man.
Their CEO is like, you ask why they would do this, like they probably made them a deal they just really couldn't refuse.
Yeah, well,
Godfather style.
Yep, straight up. I kind of laughed when Respawn put a statement out saying we're still Respawn, and I'm like, yeah, for now. Let's just wait a few more years in the development of your Star Wars game in Titanfall 3 and see what happens. So, I'm not optimistic, man. EA is like the Lex Luthor of video game stuff. So,
yeah,
I ain't happy, man.
Yeah. All right, last little piece of news. Hulu is on the Nintendo Switch.
Get out. Really?
Sorry, I just sneezed.
Yeah, I was like, so excited you had to sneeze.
I wanted to follow it up with something, but that's all I could get out before I had to sneeze.
Yeah, you could only get out.
So I was like, Hulu's coming to the Switch. Oh gosh. Yeah. My question is, do we care? Often I do this with news stories. Is like, this is news. Do we care? Does it matter? Do you care, Logan?
I do. Mainly because this thing coming into the Switch tells me Netflix is coming. Twitch is probably coming. YouTube is probably coming. Who knows what else? So, I mean, it can only, giving us more options to do things on the Switch or to do different things on the Switch is never really a bad thing. Is it newsworthy? To some people, sure. But I think the biggest thing about this is that this has opened the door to like, oh, dude, we're finally going to get some video streaming stuff on the Switch. And as we see in both the group, on Twitter, everywhere, really, people take their Switches everywhere. So the fact that they can stream their favorite anime or TV shows or even movies now, it's fantastic. So I look forward to getting Netflix on there, YouTube. YouTube is where I primarily hang out. So I look forward to getting that.
Let me just say this.
Uh-oh.
And I'm about to throw some shade, hardcore shade.
Here we go.
But Hulu's like Xbox. If they would announce the PlayStation 4 equivalent of like Netflix, I think people would care. But I mean, Hulu, who cares? I mean, I don't.
Dang.
But this is probably because I don't use Hulu. I just watch Netflix and I use my antenna if there's something I want to watch. I'm sure there's people out there like, I use Hulu all the time for current shows, but so take it for a grain of salt. I don't use Hulu. And I'm throwing some shade there. But I'm sorry.
Hulu's like the Xbox One X, man. It's like, have you seen their overhauled app? Like they're getting serious.
I haven't, so I really have no idea. I'm talking out of a lot of ignorance over here.
It's slick, man.
You guys call me to repent later.
Download the Hulu app, man, and just kind of mess around with the menus and stuff, and let me know what you think, because it's remarkably better. That and all the.
I'm with you.
You don't watch anime, so never mind.
There you go, the anime.
Well, I was gonna say like all the Gundam shows are on there, but then I was like, wait, Adam doesn't watch anime, so that doesn't matter.
I used to never play JRPGs either, and look at me, true. I'm a reformed gamer.
There it is. Roll credits.
But I think and the say is nice. I don't know. I had Netflix or something on my Vita. I had some of those different apps. I never really used them. So I don't know if I put them on my Switch, how much I would use them, because usually if I'm looking to use Netflix or something, my iPad is within reach.
Right.
And that's what I usually watch that on. But again, the option isn't a bad thing.
Right.
I don't have to use it, but that doesn't mean that there's not going to be a lot of people who don't have an iPad and don't want to watch it on their phone.
Like
so it never hurts to give people the power. So yeah, hopefully this will, I love Twitch and I watch Twitch a decent amount for either kind of funny stuff or checking out some different games, and YouTube, all those things. This only hopefully spells a brighter future for adding some of those things sooner than later. But if people don't use it, I wonder if that means they'll back off the other ones.
Ooh. I guess I better start binge watching all the shows then.
Yes, and I'm sorry if I offended. I didn't need to throw that shade.
No, dude, it's all right. Opposing opinions are always good, even if they're wrong.
Yeah. All right,
man. We got anything new coming out?
News. Let me give some. So these are new releases. So currently released games by the time that this episode is dropped, along with some games coming up. On November 10th, we had Mario Party: The Top 100, a Nintendo 3DS game that should have been on the Nintendo Switch. On November 10th, we also had Doom for the Nintendo Switch,
which is
getting good.
Yeah, it's looking like a pretty good port, which I'm kind of surprised by. Might pick it up.
I don't know if I'll ever get around to it. Hopefully, they say that this is easily the definitive first-person adult shooter on the Switch. So if you've got a Switch and you're looking for some good FPS action, this seems to be the way to go. Also on November 10th for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, you've got Need for Speed Payback. On November 14th, you have LA Noire Remastered, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch. November 14th, you've also got Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, PC, Xbox One, PlayStation 4. November 14th, a game that's long overdue for being released on the Nintendo Switch is a game called Rime? I don't know how you pronounce it.
One of the two.
Spiritual successor to games like Shadow of the Colossus, Ico. Got a nice little art style. Didn't review great, but didn't do poorly per se. Yeah. It's kind of a 6, 7.
It's just kind of okay.
Rating. Yeah. So you might want to check that out. A game that I personally don't agree should even be released. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
What?
On November 17th. Like, basically DLC. So don't tell me you hate DLC.
It is not DLC. It's a whole different storyline with villains.
Oh,
boy, Adam.
It's called Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It can't be that different.
I let that Hulu bit slide, but man, you dear listeners, we're going to have to pause the podcast, and me and Adam are going to have words, man.
It's basically DLC.
It is not DLC.
They're charging you for a whole game
because it's a whole different game. It's like a sequel.
Is it though?
Yes. Did you see the villains?
Not at all. I don't know anything about the game.
Oh, Adam, come on.
I played my one Pokemon game for a lifetime. I don't know if I'll ever play another one.
You hurt me.
Anyway, moving on November 17th, another game that's going to cause plenty of controversy on PlayStation 4,
Xbox. Hasn't already.
Star Wars Battlefront 2. We're not even going to go there. We're not going to go there.
I'll say this. After the past week of EA's little kerfluffles online, I will be shocked if this game sells well. It's a headache. I
want to play it. I'm not buying it. Maybe I'll find it on sale at some point. Yeah. I heard there's going to be some Black Friday deals, even though it's a new release. We'll see what happens, but I don't currently plan on picking it up just because life is going to get busy, but they've made some poor choices.
Yes, they have.
And then lastly, on PlayStation VR, November 22nd, we've got The Impatient, which is a sequel or prequel, I don't remember which one, to Until Dawn. So if you like that kind of horror game, this looks like it could be pretty freaky, so buy at your own risk. Or buy at your own leisure.
Whichever one you prefer. If I had a PSVR, I think I would pick this one up. Because I really liked Until Dawn. Until Dawn was fantastic.
Until Dawn was it was a fantastic game. One of the few horror games I've ever played. Really enjoyed it. That's how you do storytelling, even adding in some fun gameplay.
Yeah, man.
For sure.
Sure. Just said the same thing. All right, dear listeners, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to come back with a topic of the show, being thankful about gaming and anything else pertaining to that topic. So stay tuned, and we will be right back.
What's up, everybody? I know you've been looking for something fresh, something new. Well, your search is over because you found the bar. That's right, Biblical and Reformed. Every Tuesday, we drop a new episode, whether it's me and my crew talking about theology, current events, or even a great interview. You can find us at any podcatcher. Just search Biblical and Reformed. Welcome to the bar.
Welcome back, dear listeners. Now, with this being the week of Thanksgiving, at least when this episode releases, because if you're listening to it any other time in the week of Thanksgiving, then that doesn't make sense. But anyway, we decided to take the time to, amidst a lot of the kerfluffle, that's my new word, Adam, kerfluffle, it's fun. Hopefully it doesn't mean anything bad, otherwise this will be really awkward when the dear listeners comment about this episode. But amidst all the stuff that's just going on with EA and Battlefront and just Telltale laying off staff and just games in general, I figured amidst all this kind of negativity that's going on, well, actually, you even brought this up, Adam, that let's just spend some time talking about things that we're thankful for when it comes to gaming, offset some of that negativity. Adam, good sir, let's start. I mean, clearly, we're thankful for this podcast. I mean, 150 episodes. Not yet 105 episodes in. I mean, I would think that we're thankful for this stuff if we've been doing this, but
well on our way to 150.
We're getting there. We will get there. But Adam, I mean, what are some things that you're thankful for when it comes to gaming?
Yeah, I think. Well, even again, just come to the topic. Like, we got to be defined as thankful people. The last thing we need to begin as believers, even as Christian gamers, is any sense of entitlement. We deserve nothing. Every good gift is just that, it's good and it is a gift. Amen. So we should be thankful for them. So at times when we're like, oh, I didn't get what I wanted, well, you didn't necessarily deserve it. If you get it, it was a gift from God. So I'd love to be defined as a thankful person, but I'm not always there. But I am thankful for some things in the gaming world. I think one of the biggest things I marked or I wrote down was just really thankful for a lot of the gaming memories that I have. And I'm going to list just some of like playing Madden 95 against my brother, sitting on the floor, looking up at the TV, back on the SNES. Like, that's a fun, good memory that I have with my brother, or playing Contra with him on the regular Nintendo. Do I think about it a lot? Not necessarily, but those are good family brother memories that I have there. I think of, we called them SOCOM Sundays after church in, maybe 9th grade, 8th grade. I don't remember exactly when it was, maybe 10th grade. On the PlayStation 2, me and my buddies, we'd kind of say, all right, SOCOM Sunday, and we'd all go home after lunch and plug in our, the Ethernet cable into our PlayStation 2 and play SOCOM together and chat and laugh and just have a great time. I think of Halo LAN parties in high school, having 4 guys in one room, 4 guys in another room, and just playing till 2, 3, 4 a.m., but laughing with friends, laughing at their crazy, I don't know if they were called gamer tags at that point, but their names on the screen, and just some good memories there. You were killed by some funny name. I think of our all-night COD parties. We called them headquarters. Playing with my 5 buddies, getting like a 76-game win streak on Call of Duty. Online dynasties in college football 2009. One real fun memory, I don't think I've ever talked about it, but me and my friends back home, we said, all right, we're going to see how many games we can beat in one night across all systems.
Oh,
so we had multiple NES systems, Super Nintendos, Segas, 64, PlayStations, Xbox 360s. I mean, we probably had 15 TVs, 15 or so guys, and we played like for 10 hours straight.
Wow.
And we beat over 100 games in one night.
Wow.
So, I mean, and anytime somebody would like beat a game, we'd like sound the horn, go write our name down on the board. And it was just one of those cool memories where everyone kind of had their area of expertise. So, if you had a game, all right, I've got these games, I'm going to speed run and beat Mario Brothers 1. You can beat that game in like 10 minutes if you know what you're doing. Super Mario 3, all these games. So we beat over 100 games as a group in one night. Like, just fun memories. And, we could have made them doing other things, but they all revolved around video games. And so as much as it was, involved video games, it's about the people in that memory. And so, really, really thankful for that part where video games has brought people together. All of those events that I talked about, either virtually or physically, brought people together. So I'm extremely thankful for that.
Yeah, man. I kind of piggybacking off that, I guess, a little bit in some way. I think one of the things that I'm thankful for is the Halo franchise. You mentioned it when you're going through yours, just the Halo, or not Halo, but like the LAN parties. I remember in the youth group, we would just get probably 4 Xbox 360s together, plug them all together, and just have these insane LAN parties during these all lock-ins. And man, I was the guy at the lock-in. Anytime we brought Halo out, everyone was like, yo, I want Logan on my team. And I'm not saying this to like puff myself up. It's because people knew that if I got a plasma grenade in my hand, you're dead. Like, don't even come to me if I've got a full stack of grenades, because I got so good at throwing grenades that it seemed almost like anytime I threw a grenade, I always stuck somebody. And I'll never forget, there was one, it was actually the pastor's kid. Every time he would try to get the jump on me, I would always manage to see him right as he was coming in and just stick a plasma grenade on his face every single time. It got to a point where he got so mad, he didn't quite rage quit, but he definitely got real angry and started making a lot of mistakes and just made it real easy. And there's that. It's just it was a game that, as a youth group, a lot of us guys bonded over, and even just going into seminary, playing with some of the guys in the dorm room, playing with my wife, it's just a game that kind of has a bit of a soft spot in my heart, I guess is the right word. That sounds a little idolatrous, but you get the idea. It's one of those
good memories.
Yeah, a lot of good memories. It's such a fantastic multiplayer game. Shoot, even longtime dear listener and even longtime friend Derek Smith, who helped me start the 8-Bit Heroes podcast, that thing started out of a Halo match, because we were just sitting there talking about games. We're like, dude, why don't we record ourselves, and put that on the internet, because we have such interesting things to say. But it's such a fantastic game, fantastic series. And I know there's some debate about where 343's taking it and all that jazz too, but golly, man, there's just a lot of great memories that I'm honestly thankful for Bungie and the games that they made, the spaces that they allowed us to play in and just and kind of grow together as a church body, at least the people in my youth group at the time, and even my youth pastor. Fantastic series.
Yeah, I'd say another one for me. I was just thinking about this. I'm thankful for games like, Madden, EA, EA Sports, FIFA, NBA Live, some of these games, because yeah, as much as I just enjoyed playing sporting games, they actually, in some form, made me a better athlete. You know, they, in a crazy way, they help your hand-eye coordination. You know, they teach me different strategies. You know, I know a lot more about soccer now because I play soccer games. And it sounds goofy, but it's just real life. You know, I understand basketball a little bit better because of video games. I know football and strategies and things like that because of video games. And so, you know, it's not, you know, in the end, you still have to go out and be able to do these things, but they have made me better in those areas that I really like to even take part in physically, you know, physical outdoor sports. Like, so just that little thing of making me better at other things that I really involve. Like, there's no doubt that the hand-eye coordination of a lot of people is a little bit better because we've had to practice the flick of a stick or hitting the button at the right time. Some of those reactionary things that can be helpful in real life, I've got better at them because of video games. So that's something small that I'm thankful for.
Right on, man. Kind of debating on which one to go with next, and I don't want to be too sappy, but I think it's gonna happen anyway.
Be sappy, man. Go for it. I'm gonna
be sappy. I'm gonna be a little sappy. These next two are gonna be a little sappy. Second one isn't, and we'll get to a pseudo party chat here in a second with some of our dear listeners' answers to the question of the week. But a lot of people, even including myself, agree that just the community that surrounds gaming, at least the ones that we're all in and the people that we've met and stuff, and just the good memories that we've had, has just been awesome, man. And even just the community that's kind of surrounded this podcast because of gaming, but also because of our shared faith in Christ, has just been a blast, man. Getting to meet people pretty much all over the world at this point now. You know, we have some dear listeners in Europe and just around other places in the world. But man, it's been incredible to meet other people that we honestly wouldn't normally meet if it weren't for this community that God kind of started up, you know. And I mean, I just think about how in times where some of our dear listeners have just been hurting, and other dear listeners rallied around that person and, you know, prayed with them, talked with them, formed relationships, even sent money if something happened where they needed it. It has just been amazing to not only watch, but to also get to be a part of, you know, and I got to say this too. The admins that we have in the Facebook group, we all put up with a lot of crap, you know. There's weeks where it's smooth sailing, and then there's other weeks where someone brings up Game of Thrones and we're like, crap. Why?
Here it comes again.
It's like, here we go. Why? But man, just the people that we've met through gaming, it's so rad, you know. Who would have thunk that a group of people would have got together to play Destiny or Rocket League, you know, would wind up being people that we would call friends, you know. And it's,
I think, that's a big part of it. Is like, you think about our memories again, the gaming community in one form of as another is just always like, all those memories that I talked about, that was my gaming community at that point, whether that was a LAN party or me and my brother. He was maybe my main gaming community when I was younger, or COD groups or whatever. Like, it's really like, it kind of goes back to that idea of community. Like right now, we're maybe a lot more spread out. Our gaming community is more online, but it still comes back to that idea of relationship and community, which really makes it special. Yeah,
man. It's just so good. I mean, and then there's also the fact that I don't want to go too in depth because I'm probably going to start tearing up again like a little wuss. But I mean, just that week, I keep thinking back to that week, man. I was just having a crappy week, and just a group of people in the group out of nowhere without any kind of, you know, I didn't even say anything to them. It just, they came together and got me a Switch by some means of God's providence. And it just, it's just it's the way that the people in our community have just reached out to others and blessed other people. It's just it's so good, man. So good.
Yeah, I think one of my other just Thanksgivings is, and this is kind of it's not sappy, but and you have to follow me for a second, but I mean, even video games and a gracious wife. She'll probably never listen to this podcast and hear me even say this, so it's not even about earning brownie points, but
this will be the one she listens to. Just watch.
When we first got married, she didn't know how much I like video games. We did long distance and all that jazz, but she would, it was an area of conflict and still at times can be, but the idea of, I've seen a very, I'm thankful for a gracious wife. That's what I'm thankful for. And that there's been a lot of times where I have sinned against her with how I've, wanted to play video games or put them probably even before her and in front of her. But yet she's still, sometimes with some tough love, but has been very gracious to me to know. She's never asked me to give up my video game. She's never been like, she has time to ask me like, stop playing that and spend some time with me. It's good and needed and appropriate. But really my relationship with my wife and gaming has really been, it's been a sanctifying thing. It's made me close to the Lord. It's made me consider idols. It's made me consider time management. It's made me consider priorities. And am I perfect at this always? By no means. But because of my hobby of video games and my love for my wife and how I enjoy video games, sometimes those have come in conflict, and sometimes I've done well and sometimes I haven't. But even when I haven't, my wife's been very gracious. And so I'm thankful for that. But I'm also thankful for the way that the Lord has used gaming to draw me closer to the Lord and teach me and show me more of my sin that need to be, mortified. So
yeah, man. That's kind of the same thing with even me and my wife. I mean, it's you talk about it being a sanctifying thing, and I just I think back to when me and my wife first played Portal 2, and we learned very quickly that I need to work on my communication skills. But it's, gosh, dude, games have such a way of bringing people together when it looks like it might be tearing people apart, I guess would be the way to word that. But yeah, man, just that too. I mean, even my wife is just another way that her and I can connect and play video games, and even introduce her to some of the games that I enjoy. And while she may not like Super Metroid because that opening segment really stresses her out, especially with the timer, she's been able to find some games that she enjoys, and it's been cool and a lot of fun. My next thing that I'm thankful for, I'm not gonna lie, dude. Well-placed checkpoints and autosaves. Because oh my goodness, I forgot what game it was I was playing recently, but something happened to where my character died, and it was Mario. It was this isn't really a knock against Mario, but it just reminded me how thankful I am for checkpoint systems. Because I was doing a platforming section, I got so close to the end, fell off, died, had to start all the way back at the beginning, and I'm like, you know what? I'm glad that there are games that don't pull this crap anymore. I'll give Mario a pass, because this is trying to encourage me to get good at my platforming. But there have been some games that have been released in the past couple years that do not have good checkpoint systems. That when you lose somewhere, it puts you all the way back at the beginning. And you just wasted 2 hours. I don't like that. So I am thankful for games that implement smart checkpoint and autosave systems, because without them, I probably would have broken my controller by now. That stuff was okay when I was like a little kid on the NES because I didn't know any better, but now I do. And I'm thankful that our technology has come so far that that the game can save for you.
I even go with that with this SNES Classic, man. I've been playing some Super Mario RPG, and the fact that I can, I know at any point if I screw up, I can just click this little rewind button, and I don't even have to like go back to my start. I can literally go like 30 seconds back And so for some of these old games, they don't have to be the grind that they sometimes would be. I can literally go back and I'm like, wow, I'm really thankful for this. It kind of goes along with your idea of checkpoints.
Yeah, man. Just they're so good.
The last one I have down, or at least written down, I'm sure I can always think of more, but just the idea of I'm thankful for great stories in video games. I'm more of a reader now than I've ever really been. You know, I always kind of grew up knowing you need to be in the Word, and that part of reading has kind of always been, for the most part, been in my life. But I was never a fantasy reader or, you know, reading of anything. So if I was going to get a story, it was either through movie or video games. And even I'd say really in the last like 5, 6, 7, 8 years, just that idea of good stories, whether that's The Last of Us or the BioShock games, games that make you wrestle with, or the Talos Principle. Some of these games are like, wow, there's more to this than just mindless, mind-numbing material that's coming in. I'm really having to think about what I'm playing and the emotions that can come out, and finishing an Uncharted 4 series and being like, wow, what a great completion of the series. And so just seeing some of that aspect of like, it's not, yeah, some people might say, oh, you're wasting time. These don't, but you're getting a good story. Like you get a story in a book. Mm-hmm. I just get to interact with it. I get to be a part of it instead of just reading other people. I'm out there fighting as if I'm the main character. So I'm thankful for good stories and being able to interact with them.
Yeah, man. And even to some degree, you're choosing how a story plays out too, even in some games. Mm-hmm. Trying to think of what else I can thankful for. I'll say this one, because I honestly did not expect this. I did not expect this to happen this year. I'm thankful for Nintendo. And though they still make some boneheaded, dumb decisions when it comes to online stuff, I'm thankful that they are making a comeback in a big way this year with the Switch, Legend of Zelda, Mario, Metroid Samus Returns. You know, they're rocking it this year. And for me, as someone who grew up with Nintendo, who really cut his gaming teeth essentially on Super Mario Brothers, NES, to go from there to being kind of disillusioned when the Wii came out and just kind of leaving Nintendo, and now coming back like, yo, Nintendo gets it now. I'm thankful for Nintendo finally bringing it back, you know. It just, because I'm not going to lie, man, popping in Super Mario Odyssey and playing that again, it took me right back to 1993 or 4 or whatever, when I was playing Mario on the NES and just grinning from ear to ear, kind of bobbing and weaving to the music, you know, just having a blast. Yeah. Just having a blast. I didn't worry about any kind of crazy mechanics going on. I didn't worry about some crazy convoluted story. It's just like playing as Mario, gotta rescue Peach, let's get after it. Worlds are fun, mechanics are great. I'm good. And so, I mean, Nintendo's getting it, dude. I'm thankful for them and the fact that they're even still around to put these games out, because there was a time where I honestly thought Nintendo was just going to go away, you know, but they're still here. They're coming back stronger than ever, making great games. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can keep on going, or, I mean, I'm thankful in the end for Thanksgiving, because some of my biggest memories of gaming have been the night before Thanksgiving. You know, I talked about our Call of Duty headquarters. Those were always literally the night before Thanksgiving. My buddies, we'd all come over. My dad and my brother are getting up to hunt at 5 a.m. and go to the woods, and we're just packing up our Xbox 360s to go to bed and go have all my friends go to their homes. So, you know, I've got some good memories around Thanksgiving itself. And so, just, you know, again, thankful that God has given us some good gifts. And while, of course, video games can be the source of many a sin issue, It's also something that can be very good. And, we're trying to be a part of that redeeming of this culture on this podcast and in our community. So not to say that we always do that perfectly or even our dear listeners do it, but we're trying to be a part of that process. I'm glad that God can even redeem an industry that a lot of people would say is not helpful.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And it's cool to see God open a lot of different doors for the gospel to be shared. I mean, we've even seen that in the group. People playing Halo, shared the gospel with someone. Playing Call of Duty, shared the gospel with someone, So I imagine doing that in Call of Duty is really hard because you have a lot of people that are just, well, we've all played Call of Duty. We know what the chat lobbies are like. But man, so let's get some responses in from some of our dear listeners here. Before we head out here, do you have the Facebook thingy pulled up?
I do.
Cool beans.
I do.
Because we asked you guys, you dear listeners in the Facebook group and on Twitter, what are you most thankful for in regards to video games? Could be features, series, developers, etc. Got quite a few responses. Adam, good sir, go ahead and read off a couple.
Yeah, of course. Drew Hood, good friend of the show, said Mario 64. Amen to that.
It's okay.
We've got Ashley Grable saying, I'm thankful for the artwork. This goes for even the simplest games. Gaming produces a wide array of things to look at, and then you get fan art, and it's even more fantastic. You will appreciate this one. A couple hearts by this one. I'm thankful that they, in a way, opened a door for me to spend more time with my husband and have more in common with him. From Camilla.
From the wifey. Oh, everybody.
My wife says the opposite, that it's closed many doors and has cut me off from my husband. So screw you, video games.
Oh, snap. Adam's going to get no gaming done when that baby gets here. Some of the responses we got over on Twitter, Jay, aka Meef J from the Everyday Gamer, says the relationships. Shonuff backs it up and says, aside from family and the folks I've met through Christ, my gaming friendships are the most precious and enduring. Right on, man. We also got David Baby Benjamin B that says the Reformed gamers without games we wouldn't be a thing or even know each other. Thankful for the community and relationships that God has provided because of video games. One last one on Twitter. We got one from Jason. Dude, if I'm mispronouncing your name, I'm sorry. Jason Licht. He says world building and lore. When I look at my favorite games such as World of Warcraft or Halo, I love the rich lore and amazing world that they've built for us to play in. It's also nice to have a way to just relax after a long day, be it with an overweight plumber or a speedy blue hedgehog. Those 280 characters on Twitter though. Getting it right on, man. Adam, what are some other ones on the Facebooks, the book faces?
Yeah, we got the way it brings friends together. That one's from Thomas Carpenter. You get some of those community friendships. Mark said stories. I'm thankful for those. Drew Dodgden. Bryce Vetter says, I'm thankful for video games for giving me a place to escape from my reality when things got rough through childhood. There's probably a lot of people that can relate to that.
Yeah.
Mark Frome, Half-Life changing the way shooters were made. So, a lot of just escaping to other worlds, stories, community, friendships, like a lot of really common threads in there. But, they can, again, video games could cause a lot of harm, but God's been very good to allow them to create a lot of good also.
Yep. I'm just shaking my head over here. The people are like, I'm thankful for loot boxes. It's like, I know y'all put those in there to just trigger me. For those not in the Facebook group, man, you're missing out. There was like a week straight where I got on like several soapboxes about loot boxes, and just people are just trying to trigger me now. Which, granted, I can take a good joke. about loot boxes. I mean, I even changed the Facebook banner to a loot box just to make fun of myself. There's that one. Yeah, it's just a lot of good responses, man. I mean, Kyle, I'm not even going to try and pronounce your last name, man, because I really don't want to butcher that. Thankful for gaming communities like this one, where we not only share our love for video games, but our love for Christ most of all. I mean, like you said, just a lot of common threads. Wesley Racing, growing up and playing NES, SNES, and Sega games with his brothers was super fun. Even though they're all far away from each other now, those shared memories really help to keep us in contact with each other. And I think back to that one meme. I forget what outlet shared this, but it said something about like memories aren't made playing games in front of a screen or something like that. And I'm like, nah. Fake news, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, video games have a great way. I mean, you can really make memories doing just about anything, video games included. And one of the great things that I believe God is using with video games is using them to strengthen the body of Christ, strengthen them to meet other believers, but also using them as different ways to encourage other people. I mean, kind of like what we do with the podcast here, how we challenge people to think more deeply about the games that they consume. You have people on Twitch like Pastor Susie, who is trying to minister to gamers and just people who probably don't feel comfortable going into a church, you know, doing some cool stuff over there. So, video games, man. Yeah. It's a good time to be thankful for them. Before we beat people up trying to get the best deal at GameStop the day after Thanksgiving. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Sort of. Please don't beat people up. It's not good. With that, dear listeners, thank you for checking out this episode of the Reformed Gamers. But before we let you go, some recos, some things we think you ought to check out. Adam, good sir, what should our dear listeners check out this week or whenever they listen to this episode?
I'm so bad at these. Like, I'm not a good reco guy. I don't do enough new things. But if I'm going to say one, me and my wife, we just finished, I think, the 3rd or 4th season of The Blacklist.
Okay.
It's on Netflix. It's a fun little show. I guess that one's fun. It's probably not the best way. It's not like a happy-go-lucky. It's about spies and a lot of people get killed. So it's an interesting show. Got a good story. So if you haven't checked that out and you like kind of some of that stuff, maybe that's worth checking out.
Is that the show with Robert California as the spy dude?
He's so good in this show, man.
I need to get
his character is amazing. If you don't like David Spade or not David Spade, that's David Spader. You got David Spade, and then you've got Spader is this guy's last name.
I just remember him as Robert California in Ultron.
Yeah, he's really, if you don't like, he kind of acts the same way he does in every show. Mm-hmm. So if you don't like him, you probably wouldn't like the show. But I think he does a really good job. His character really well made.
Yeah, man. I'm going to have to check that out because that's been on my Netflix for a long time. My recos are, dear listeners, this is going to sound like a really weird reco, but trust me, for this past week, this was the thing in the Facebook group. And shout out to our boy Austin Jensen for the watermelon Dr. Pepper from Sonic. All you do is you go to Sonic, you order a Dr. Pepper with watermelon, and I hear that it's the best in slushy form. Try it out. You can thank him later. And enjoy. But also subscribe to us on YouTube and Twitch. Links to both of those will be in the show notes on the website, all over the place. And as we get content up there, just, feel free to comment. Feel free to let us know what you think. And plus, for those of you that maybe didn't get to share your favorite thing about gaming or something you're thankful about gaming, as always, hit us up on Twitter at TRG Podcast, Facebook group, and maybe in the comments section of this YouTube video. Who knows? Let us know. But with that being said, dear listeners, as always, thank you for checking out this episode. If you'd like to get in contact with us, as I've said multiple times, head over to Twitter at TRG Podcast. Head over to Facebook, the Reformed Gamers Facebook group. Head up the website for show notes, backlog of episodes, and anything else of that matter at thereformedgamers.wordpress.com. And if you're on YouTube, hit that little bell icon so you get notified whenever we put up new content, new videos, new Let's Plays, and things of that nature. I'm hyped about the YouTube channel, Adam. I'm going to put up some videos Maybe do some live stream. Like the cool thing is, remember how we did the Facebook lives in the Facebook group?
Mm-hmm.
You can do that on YouTube if you have the mobile app. I didn't know that, so I will be playing around with that. And
yeah, I'd like to. I don't know how many people want to watch me stream, but I'm not against throwing up if I'm just playing something. I mean, I can comment if people are asking questions and whatnot. It's just a matter of muscle memory of like, oh yeah, I need to share that I'm actually playing video games. And that always just throws up Twitch content.
You're gonna stream you throwing up, Adam?
Throwing up Persona 5 content.
You know, you can't actually stream Persona 5 still because Atlas still has that. They locked that off.
Well, I've got Shadow of War.
There you go.
I do pretty well in that game.
There you go. Stream some of that. I'll watch you play that. Anyway, dear listeners, thank you for checking out this episode of the Reformed Gamers. Have a happy Thanksgiving this week. Enjoy that time with your families. And until next time, GG and amen.